return to our top story. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson fighting for his political survival following a flurry of resignation in his government. Well, it's just faced questions in Parliament, so let's cross live to Downing Street and join Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson for the very latest. John, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Now, we understand that there have been more resignations this morning. What's the latest?
Hi guys, great to see you on Newsday. Yes, indeed, more resignations, 8 in total today. Among them, Justice Minister Victoria Atkins, Children and Families Minister Will Quince, Robin Walker, Schools Standards Minister John Glenn, Treasury Minister. The list goes on and on and on, and it's only 1 o'clock, so we'll have to wait and see what else develops today, but certainly confidence in the Prime Minister, as you say, fighting for his political life in Downing Street. At the moment, he was in the House of Commons earlier, which we showed on Arise News for Prime Minister's questions, and later today he'll have a tricky appointment before a committee which will be looking into his actions over Partygate, and he'll be quizzed by MPs. So the story very dynamic, fast moving. It began, of course, last night when 2 senior ministers quit, including the Chancellor and Health Minister. We thought then it was all over, that a Prime Minister couldn't survive that he would resign this morning. It hasn't happened. Boris Johnson is clinging on for dear life at the moment. He's made it clear in the House of Commons earlier today that he's staying on, and so we'll just have to watch on developments, but a fast-moving story here in London.
Certainly a lot going on there. What did you make of Johnson's performance in the Prime Minister's questioning?
Well, look, we're in extraordinary times here politically, and that was an extraordinary performance, I thought, for Prime Minister's questions in the kind of the bull ring, the cut and thrust of Punch and Judy politics on Big Show in the House of Commons, and he toughed it out basically. I mean, it was quite extraordinary how the leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer, put the allegations about past scandals that have rocked the government, and Johnson simply brushed them off. And, for one minister who was appointed, Johnson knowing that is, that he had a fondness for sexually assaulting young men, he said, well, look, when I found out, I resigned. I mean, he was very, very bullish, and asked if he was going to resign by a Tory MP. He said clearly, if he couldn't go on with the mandate he's been given, that's an 80-seat majority in the House of Commons, he would not support Ukraine, he would go. And he said he plans to keep on going.
Indeed. Now, could the UK be set for another general election?
That's a good question, and it raises a very interesting constitutional issue here. Now, to call a general election, the Prime Minister has to get the consent of the Queen. There is no way that Queen Elizabeth will consent to calling a general election and accepting Johnson's resignation when he has an 80-seat majority in Parliament and the government's only 2.5 years old. It just won't happen. So there are other ways of Johnson going. He can quit maybe this afternoon, maybe this evening. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a growing feeling among Conservative MPs, the Conservative being his party, that they may change the rules of the 1922 committee, which says that once someone survived a vote of confidence, there can't be another one for another year. There's a mood building here in Westminster that the MPs might change that rule so they can have another vote of confidence, reminding ourselves, of course, that Johnson won that vote of confidence last time.
Well, John, I'd like us to talk about the faces and demeanour of Conservative MPs during the Prime Minister's questions today. Do they look like people that really still have confidence in his leadership?
Well, it was mixed, wasn't it? Some were cheering him, the usual suspects, the usual Johnson supporters, and the others sat there like dummies and not quite wondering what's going on. And you look, all of this is bad for the country. All of this, we're supposed to have the mother of all parliaments set an example to the rest of the world. The country's in an economic crisis at the moment, and it needs strong leadership at the top. And there are other issues like COVID is re-emerging quite strongly in the UK. It needs someone to carry the reins for all of that. And of course, there's the war in Eastern Europe, which Johnson was very strong on and is considered to have done well by his MPs. So the other thing that's happening at the moment is that the pound is down against major currencies, although shares are up. So the economy and the mood of the country generally is affected deeply by what's going on here in Westminster.
He was once referred to in a very cheeky way as a greased up pig, and he's always getting through and always managing to dodge bad situations. It seems like the party has finally lost its patience with Boris Johnson. Is this the end for him, or will he continue to limp on?
Now, people like me are supposed to say on camera, yes, this is the end, or no, it isn't the end. But we just don't know. I mean, as I said at the start, we are in extraordinary political times at the moment with an extraordinary man, whatever you think of his politics, in Downing Street. His great hero was Churchill, and he had a lot of political difficulties at the start of his career, and he toughed it out. It looks like Johnson is doing that. David Cameron was the man you were referring to, calling Johnson in the pig reference, the piglet reference, that getting hold of him is so difficult, and that that is so apt.
Well, John, do you foresee a case whereby the Parliament might take a drastic action, or is this going to be business as usual next week again with the name calling and us talking to you and saying the same thing?
Well, maybe. I mean, one of the other ways out of all of this is for Parliament as a whole to have a vote of confidence in Boris Johnson. But again, with that 80-seat majority, that's not going to result in Johnson being kicked out. Although, as I say, things are changing here by the hour, and the mood of the party is hard to judge.
All right, Chief Correspondent John Cookson, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.